Hi everyone, welcome to another episode. Today, I will be sharing the rest of my conversation with Kyle Dvorak. In this section of our conversation, we started talking a little bit more about mental health and being a performer and how you can kind of navigate both mental health and performing. So I hope you enjoy this second part of our episode and have a great week. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about mental health. I think that sometimes performers, we're trained to act like everything's fine. Mm-hmm. We go to rehearsals even when we're like feeling really depressed or whatever, because we're trained to do that. I mean, it's our job, right? And we do shows, we act all happy, and even if we feel really shitty on the inside, and we're trained to always smile and But I think, again, the dialogue is changing a little bit, especially, in today's world with, the destigmatization of mental health. Mm-hmm. And we've always discussed mental health very openly with each other. And I just want to hear your thoughts on, performing when maybe
you don't feel fine.
Yeah.
We're all going through it. I mean, and the minute that you stop, to think that, you're not the only person that, feels like that, and, that maybe by allowing people to, see it, you could, help someone else. Mm-hmm. I think the conversation is just so much more open now than it ever has been. Mm-hmm. So it's something that makes it a lot easier and less uncomfortable to talk about. But I definitely agree with you that I think it's been, a long time coming. And I think that it just depends on, your friends and who you, spend time with and trust to, let into that sort of thing. But I'm just a very emotional person. Mm-hmm. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I always have. And I just want people to see, authentically, that's the word of the day for me, apparently.
I love it.
Who I am, though. And I mean, that also involves seeing me when I'm at my, raw, unhinged moments. And I'm so much more open than I ever have been. Mm-hmm. And I think that is because I allowed it to be okay to not be fine.
Right.
I'm not going to say it was, an easy thing for me to just, open that up. Yeah. It's gradual, definitely. Yeah. But, once I did, it's just, the reaction you get and the way you feel. Yeah. It's almost like a therapy. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember I got kind of shit on by a director one time. I mean, rightfully shit on, for not, being vulnerable enough. I didn't know how to be vulnerable at the time. I mean, I was a senior in high school, and it's scary to let that all hang out. And again, that idea of, putting this, perfect and this really polished thing on stage and being I know all my lines, I know how this character is, it's almost too polished. And I mean, I'm a perfectionist, everything I want to put out in the world, I want it to be polished, but I'm slowly, and I mean, clearly it's been 10 years since that, but I am slowly becoming more okay with putting other parts of me out into the world in hopes that I can help other people, or that vulnerability into a role so that it can reach the person that it's intended to reach, and doing that instead of feeling everything needs to be so perfect, but it's been a long time chipping away at these
walls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I completely get that.
And I want to talk a little bit about getting your ass off of a couch.
Yeah.
Because I know you and I both struggle with that.
Especially right now. We're on a couch, ironically.
We're on a couch and we don't want to get up. But yeah, talk to me a little bit about your experience, both having your butt tied to the couch and what kind of helps you get up off of it.
This winter and just
the snow,
living here in this godforsaken place
to not ever leave your
house
has
been a definite, it's difficult to put it into one, because it's, it's you go through ups and downs in life, deaths, you know, depression,
all of the above.
I'm just like all of the, you know, hard, like job issues, like, you know, I don't know, just like the minutia of adult life. And I just think that, I have always been a person that it's like, I prioritize social activity. I like being out and about. I like knowing where the good restaurants are. I like going and dancing. I like, you know, it's like, I like being socially active. So it's like, to be someone recently who has had such an issue getting off the couch, it was something that I'm very unfamiliar with, unless I'm like really, really in a bad spot. And the fact that it became so like consistent, it made me realize like, oh, something is wrong. But, you know, I think that you just have to remember that there's like a whole world out there passing you by when you know, nothing is ever that bad. There are so many people that you can talk to about your problems, be it a therapist, a mother, a friend, a father, whatever, you know. I just think allowing it to be okay to not be perfect all the time is really important. And I mean, life needs balance. You need to rest. I think that what I'm thinking about as I'm talking about this is, it's like, I think I've never had an easy time with balance, because when she's out, she is going hard and she is like, you know, burning the candle at both ends. Or it's like this, where it's like, I'm tired and I don't want to do anything. You need to find the equilibrium in there somehow. So my
therapist always talks about like a bell curve, and like we never want to be on the ends of the bell curve, which it sounds like that's like what you're vacillating between, but we always want to be in that like middle section. And like, that is totally something that I have to work on too, is this idea that like life doesn't need to be either extreme, but it needs to be kind of that like, what you feel like is this boring middle ground, you know, for people like you and I, like, it feels boring, you know, and it's not.
Well, it's very just
it's
like...
almost like more healthy.
And it's like that shit in the middle.
Yeah.
It does seem boring, but it's not though, because that's where you're consistent and you're happy and you're just like, and it's like, you're not worried and anxious and all this stuff. So it's like, that's a good, it's a very good point, because I do struggle with that.
I always say, and I talk to my boyfriend about this, but like, because he's a cook, he's a chef, but like, you know, you go to restaurants and you have an amazing meal, right? You go to a restaurant, you have an amazing meal, and you're like, oh yes, that was so good, I want to go back. You go back a week later and the meal is awful. And there's like that restaurant now cannot be a good restaurant because they're clearly inconsistent. And I think it's finding that consistency. I mean, I think about that with singing too. It's like, you can be a great singer and hit that high C every once in a while, or you could be a consistent singer who maybe can't hit a high C, but can consistently hit a B flat. And like, maybe that's good. That's honestly the singer that you want to hire, because like, they're a consistent singer who can hit the same notes every time. Right. You know,
where you're not like wondering, like, are we gonna make it tonight?
Yeah. And like, again, there's kind of like a romanticized view of this, like, you know, struggling artist who's like working through this thing, when like sometimes it's okay to be in that like median range, you know? Like, I missed a bunch of auditions one time because I was really upset about a callback that I thought went really terribly. And I had a hard time getting off the couch, you know, so to speak. And I was just beating myself up, and then I eventually realized, you know, life was passing me by, auditions were passing me by, and like, what am I doing? Just sitting on this goddamn couch, you know? And
it's okay to have those moments though, too.
It is.
You need to remember that, because it's like, don't completely write off that happened, because it's like that.
Exactly.
You got back up. Right.
But I think that idea of like, you gotta keep kind of getting up off the couch and like going to those auditions and not ever get like tied to one thing. I think that analogy of like getting up off the couch every day, or like, you know, when people like, therapists have talked about when people get depressed, like sometimes just like putting on some clothes and putting on some makeup, even if you don't leave the house, but can make you feel just like better better.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And I've completely been down in that hole where it's like, it's like, I don't deserve to put on jewelry today. Or like, I don't deserve to like put my face on today. No.
Yeah. That's the hard thing as an artist is like, how do you deal with rejection, and how do you deal with not being in a show for a few months, and like, what do you do to like better yourself as a human, as an artist, as a, you know, a mother, a friend, a whatever, you know, we don't need to just define ourselves as artists, but like, how do you use your time?
You know, just remembering that you have people that you can talk to is important. You know, therapy has definitely been something that you've touched on a couple of times, and it's like that.
I love my therapist.
That's helpful to a lot of people. It's been helpful to me. It's been helpful to you. It's been helpful to a lot of our friends. I just come to things with empathy.
Yeah.
Understand that it's like, we're all human. We're all going through the same life here.
We're going through something.
And we're on, we're on different paths and journeys, but it's just like, we have to help each other get to the end point, and tearing people down and just being disrespectful it's not going to get you work, and it's not going to
get you friends.
Right.
Is there any like last things you want to touch on?
Your life never goes exactly as you plan. Even the people who go to, 8 years of, post-secondary education or graduate education, whatever you want to call it. There's no set path. There's no set, it's like, you can have aspirations and goals and, be passionate about what you're doing. But I just think to remember that it's like, you got a degree, you're out working, and as long as you're doing things that like make you happy, or just trying to like take that knowledge and use it in some way.
Yeah.
And don't put yourself in a box. I think that's like, if we could really try to hit home like one thing from this like whole dialogue, it's that like, no one likes to be labeled. And we're also not in a time and place right now anyway, where that's what's like marketable and what sells.
Yeah.
Be authentic, be true to who you are. Don't put labels on other people if you don't want to be labeled yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just important to be doing what you're doing. I do want to say, I have a lot of respect for this channel. I'm very, very proud of what Anna's doing. We're right in the day after International Women's Day, so I have a lot of very strong women in my life. You are one of them. I think what you're doing, the open conversation, I wish this is something that like I had thought of when I got out of school, because it's like, I think people feel really in the dark. Keep watching, you guys. Definitely subscribe to this. Something on the way for me. I am working on a website. I've been working on it for about like a year and a half now. It's a lifestyle site. It's going to be called KyleDvorak.com. We'll keep you guys updated on when that's going to come up. But lots of fun things and inspiring things coming on like the pipeline for both of us. So really happy we're here, and really happy that we're just going to keep it going and have fun.
Yay!
I love you.
I love you. Oh!